Welcome to the Bois Podcast. I'm Francisco,
And I'm Brandon.
and we're here to talk about movies, TV, current events, memes, and the internet.
But keep it casual.
Yes, of course. We always keep it casual. Now, Brandon,
Yes, Francisco.
I'd like to have a conversation, a casual conversation, about YouTubers.
Okay. Yeah, make sure you put in that casual part right
Yeah,
there.
casual. Otherwise, we could just get into an argument.
True.
So just kind of like to establish a baseline, what were some of the first channels that you ever followed on YouTube?
If we're talking about channels specifically,
Mm.
definitely Ryan Higa. I think he was the very, very first channel I
Right.
ever saw.
Is he an OG?
He is the OG.
I don't like the OG, but is he like Philly D and all them, or did he come a little later?
He was before them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
If we're talking about those very first How to Be Ninja, How to Be Gangster videos.
Oh yeah.
What he did with his
Oh,
friend Sean.
I wonder how that gangster one has aged. Well, no, we won't talk about that.
Better than some. I'm gonna tell you that.
We love Ryan Higa here, and we
Actually,
love Arden Show more.
ooh, okay. We're gonna put that in there too. Definitely, he was, and I still remember the very first one I ever followed. And then after that, I don't believe I followed anybody's channel specifically, just whenever they popped up. But then also during the time, I remember Machinima was very, very prevalent on YouTube.
Yeah, Machinima.
Yeah, if we're aging ourselves by mentioning Machinima for people who may not know that.
I didn't know Red versus Blue. I know that's like not like they're linked,
Yes.
but Red versus Blue, I didn't know about that until like 5th grade,
Yeah.
and then which would be around 2005, and then I didn't like watch an episode until like 2017 or something.
Hey man, it's totally fine. I was probably too young when I started watching Red versus Blue, and I knew about it because in middle school I started playing Halo.
Okay.
And then whatever Halo content I found Red versus Blue.
Okay.
And then I just like, okay, might as well. And then I loved it, and that's where Machinima I think was really popularized. Red versus Blue really brought that kind of entertainment to the mainstream, quote unquote.
I wonder why there was never like, well, this might be me and just not having the widest knowledge, but I wonder why there was never like something else that was Machinima, like that kind of art style that got as big as Red versus Blue.
Yeah,
And not even saying like Rooster Teeth, but Red versus Blue itself.
I think maybe just because when it was being made, people were just still crazy on the hype of Halo, and then they just loved seeing that these people just voicing these characters. And really, for a good chunk of the early seasons, it's just them standing around and talking.
They're just switching the camera angle from
Yeah.
these three stationary Spartans to these three.
And then, it's a recurring joke in the show. They always bring up, like, we're just sitting here watching them talk.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So Machinima, it gave me great leeway to kind of explore other content creators. So people like Lyle Rath or Dexter Manning, and that's eventually how I got to know a little bit of Immortal HD, aka Alex. Yeah, and then also there was a time when Asian Americans were very prevalent on YouTube as well, and that's how I also got to follow some of their channels as well. So like Wong for Productions, Timothy Delaghetto, no longer, aka RIP.
Timothy, I'm gonna look this up. You keep going. I'm gonna look up how to pronounce
it. So, it was just a great like channel, no pun intended, for me to kind of explore all these content creators and how they were just making their own stuff and getting a really good audience as well.
So it's Tim Chantarangsu.
I never knew how to spell his last name.
Somehow it's still longer than Delaghetto.
Yeah. What about yourself?
Yeah, so for me, I think like the first channel that I was interested in was like I'd go over to my friend's house and we would watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. So whatever little Karibo's channel, like whatever he had it on, we would watch that. And I think it wasn't again, like I didn't really care about YouTube again until high school. And one of my friends told me about JK Films. So back when they were like doing skits and stuff, I was like, getting into them, and I was like, well, I don't really know that much about Asian humor, but this is kind of funny sometimes. Like, I think the first video I watched was it was like an advertisement for some like boba place.
Oh
And
my
it was like
gosh.
I still
Yeah.
sing the song, like it was like a music video. I still sing the song sometimes. It's good. It was called Taste Tea.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do know that
I
one.
love that video.
Yeah. That's a
um,
deep cut.
yeah,
I haven't
no, no.
heard that in a long
I've
time.
never. I don't know. I guess I've never asked anyone, but I've like very rarely do I find someone that like knows JK and knows him like that far back.
Mm-hmm.
Because in I think my real like YouTube watching started in college, and so I started watching like MKBHD and like Unbox Therapy and all those guys.
Yeah.
And that was also when JK News started, and JK News like just like was everywhere. Like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people that I knew watched it, and so like they'd be posting like two or three times a day, and I'd just be like, yes, like gimme, gimme, gimme.
Yeah.
Now I haven't watched consistently since like for like 5 years, but like there was a really good groove there, especially at the beginning where I was just like watching it constantly.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point you bring up. Back when these content creators had to really push out the process,
Mhm.
and they would always be trying out these videos constantly.
Mhm.
And this is back when, not that it was super small, but it was a much smaller community that everybody had their own thing that they could do for. But once it got bigger, they had to make sure they could keep up with the competitions.
Yeah, and it's funny like looking at this like monetization world that we live in, because
Mm-hmm.
like now people do so much for monetization when back then they just like posted whatever. Like if YouTube had like they had like a 10-minute limit, so people would be posting like 9:59
Mm-hmm.
videos and stuff like that. And they would just post whatever they wanted, or they'd post like 2-3 minute skits.
Yeah.
And now like if you do that, unless you're like already huge from that, like it doesn't help you, like it doesn't do anything for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And now people really extend it to the 10 minutes in order to get that monetization as well.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if like YouTube does this, but I heard that if you get over 10 minutes, then you have like two ad breaks or something.
You can, yes.
Yeah, or like maybe over 5 minutes, or at that 5 minute mark, it does another ad. I haven't had, I've never really had ads because like now I have, now I have YouTube Premium, but before that, I just had ad block, and I still have it to this day.
As a plebeian, I'll tell you that the ads still exist.
Mm.
Sometimes if I'm just watching, even when you send me like a 7 minute video, and I'll get a commercial in the beginning, and it's one of those ones where I can't skip it.
Oh yeah, those are the worst.
Yeah.
I hate the ones that are like, it's just like a whole ass movie. Like it's just a movie, and it's like you could have skipped that 2 minutes, but if you're not looking at it, then you're just watching the whole thing.
Sometimes you'll get like back-to-back ones in that space. So you'll get one which you can't skip, and then when you get to the next commercial or trailer, like you can skip it, but you've been so like caught up in like you can't skip it that I don't notice until it's almost finished.
Yeah,
So
and it's like, I remember there was a time, there was like a golden era where there was like 5 seconds, and then you could skip any commercial pretty much.
yeah,
And that was like, I guess that didn't make a lot of people a lot of
I
money.
still remember when YouTube had no commercials.
Oh yeah, that was back when nobody made any money.
Yeah. But then YouTube would like give content creators money.
Yeah.
Like, they had to reach a certain viewpoint, but then they were like, okay, you've reached this many views, we'll send you money for that.
Yeah, I remember there was this one dude. Whenever Pokemon Black and White came out, there's this dude. His name was like John Carlo something, and he was like the first like YouTube partner that was like for Pokemon, and so he just played through the game like it was in Japanese, but I guess he understood Japanese, or he understood the context well enough to play it. And so he would play through like the game Black and White because it was like before they released at the same time. So he would play that, and I would just like sit there watching like and just like hoping that he could explain what was going on.
Yeah.
And then years later, I found Shofu, which is like way better. But then like while watching Shofu, I went back to to a Giancarlo video because I hadn't like seen him in a long time, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember this guy, and I was watching, and he like just like you remember whatever. You never remember whenever at college, like I brought in that, or I didn't. I don't think I brought it in. Somebody brought in that hello, where you just be like
Yes,
hello,
yes, yes. I
and
do know.
then
Yeah.
somebody who I will not say the name of just used it way too much and ruined it for everybody. That was like this Giancarlo guy. Where
Oh, okay.
he'd just
Okay.
use it hello, like if he'd run up to an NPC and they'd be like, "Hey, how you doing?" He'd be like, "Hello." So,
I still see it being used to this day by a lot of people when they're playing video games or whatever they're streaming.
mm,
Yeah, they're still, and I don't think they know maybe the origins of where that came
mm,
from, but that's interesting. Now I know where the legend came from.
yeah, maybe it's just because Shofu did that, but it was like he knew how to do it
Mm,
and he was like cool. But the other guy is just kind of like, you know,
yeah.
he's just kind of like a little nerdy boy.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the monetization thing because I think it fits well to your next question.
Mm. Oh yeah. So, did you ever think that YouTube would be as big as it is?
No, I never did.
Mm.
I when I first stumbled upon YouTube, I remember it was just because I was trying to find for whatever reason a clip from Madagascar, and I remember it led me to YouTube, and it was like somebody putting King Julian's song to a World of Warcraft character dancing,
Oh
and I
my
was
gosh.
so confused, but I was like, huh, and I just started typing stuff in the search bar, and it just gave me all this stuff, and it was just like a new era I walked into.
hmm
But from that to where we are now, I never imagined YouTube would be the way it is.
Yeah, I didn't. So I didn't like buy into YouTube probably like until after Google bought it.
Oh
Like I
yeah.
didn't, cause like I did watch when I was younger, but that
uh,
was like at my friend's house. So like he would put it up and we would watch it. Like I wouldn't when I was at home, like the limited computer usage that I had, I didn't go out of my way to go to YouTube. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't think that it was anything more than like was it funnyjunk.com and
mm.
the
Oh, those websites where
new
like people
new
post up their stuff.
yeah, eBombs World and
Yeah.
all those. I thought it was just one of those. Um,
Or like that place where Donkey would put up his early animations.
yeah, is it Newgrounds or
I
something?
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it was like a lot of that. It was just like really poorly animated, like a bunch of like PNGs moving around the screen,
Mm.
and yeah, that just didn't really catch my interest as a kid. So I just like probably watch like Godzilla like for 10 hours a day instead of going online. Um, but yeah, then whenever I think it wasn't until JK like they moved into like their new office that they're in now that I really realized like holy crap, like this is real business.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
these people are out here really making a lot of money.
I feel that. Yeah.
And I mean, okay, so that was then, right? They were probably I don't know how they're doing now. They're probably still doing well but relatively they're probably making a lot less money.
Mm.
And so yeah, that and then like the H3H3 stuff where he just kind of like explains the internet to us.
Mm. Oh yeah.
Well, he used to do that. Now, not anymore.
Especially when he moved from Israel to back to
Yeah,
New York. Well, he moved from Israel to Los Angeles, then he moved to New York, and then he moved back to LA.
yeah. I think I caught him right before he moved from Israel to here.
Mm.
Or like that's the first video that I saw of his.
I still remember the first day you showed me his videos, and they
Mm,
were all DJ Khaled ones.
yeah, those are good. Those are
I was
classic.
so confused, but I thought it was so funny. Just like making fun of DJ Khaled.
Yeah, I remember I showed them to this one guy, and he was just like, "Wow, these are so mean." And I was just like, "You're no fun. Get
Yeah.
out. Why did I waste my time showing this to you?" Um, but yeah, that does bring me to my next question, though. What kind of YouTube videos or channels do you usually go for now?
Hmm. Videos, I can tell you, it's just really anything. Sometimes they are just video essays about just really anything. Usually it's about maybe a game or a movie that I've recently followed or I recently watched.
Mm-hmm.
Other times it could just be people just talking about something. I used to, not so much anymore, really follow a lot of vlogs. Now,
Oh, okay.
now I only follow a vlog if it's a channel that I actively follow.
Mm-hmm.
Channels are kind of weird now because back in the day, I would always follow somebody if I, saw them doing stuff in collaboration with other YouTubers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it just so happens if I follow a channel that has, pretty good setup, pretty good production, pretty good upload stuff. Not that if they're missing one, I won't follow them. But
There are
if I see
people
them
that do that.
if I see them genuinely doing a good effort on their channel, then I'm like, okay, this guy deserves a follow. Like there's a channel. It's called Gamers Little Playground or something, and he'll upload cutscenes like just from games. So it's like basically a movie. Yeah, like if you just want to watch.
Oh yeah, where it's just like 4 hours of just the cutscenes from like Halo 2 Remastered or whatever. Yeah.
And surprisingly, I'll find an itch. I'm like, I kind of want to watch these cutscenes.
Yeah.
And, like he'll have them just right there.
I've done that before. I think before I bought my Xbox One X, like I was like, whoa, they made a remake of Halo 2 and Halo 1, so I like watched those and I was like, wow, I already knew all this, but wow.
I think this specific guy has put all the Halos together.
Like in one movie?
Yes.
Oh wow.
It's like 10 or 12 hours.
That's going to be the next marathon right there. Yeah, I think for me, well, I'll ask you this: do you follow any channels, like off the top of your head, that whatever they post, you're gonna watch it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you have any of those right now?
I can say yes.
Which ones?
Aside from, of course, Ryan Higa, other channels I'll see that whenever they post, I will go out of my way to watch them is Off Canny. Whenever they get their stuff out, which is I guess you would call it a spin-off of Cow Chop, another YouTube channel that you've introduced me to. I guess very quick tangent. You are very what's the phrase I'm trying to put this in? Guilty and responsible of getting me into a lot of YouTube channels, and then I become very much involved or attached to them. And some of these channels will end.
Oh yeah.
Or somebody will leave.
Yeah.
So there was Cow Chop, Funhouse, that when Lawrence and Bruce left that, and then like,
hey, it's worse for me who was there the whole time.
I can imagine. But then here I am, just a little fanboy, like, oh, this is so cool, this is so fun, and then they're like, all right, guys, peace out, I'm gonna do my own thing.
I remember when I first started watching Funhouse, like, I watched everything that they had. Like, just like...
It was a straight binge watch of everything.
I just let it autoplay. I don't know if they had autoplay at the time, but I would just let it go. Now, not so much. Now I get very picky with the Funhouse that I watch.
Yeah.
But there's still some stuff. I don't know if there's anything that I do now that... Oh, Donkey, for sure.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Donkey, I watch everything that he posts. So I haven't watched, for any of the channels that I'll say. I haven't watched anything that talks about Last of Us 2.
Okay.
Because I haven't played the first one. So.
A lot of people have a lot to say about this game.
Yeah, and it's been rough. Because I do follow a lot of, gaming, maybe not gaming-centric, but gaming-related channels. And, they're all talking about Last of Us at once. And it's I don't have anything to watch. But Kind of Funny, I watch... So Kind of Funny, they have two channels, a gaming one and a normal one. And I watch most of the stuff that comes out on the normal one because it's just it's basically just a daily podcast, which they used to have, which they don't have anymore. Not that I'm bitter, but they had a daily podcast.
You even drink coffee and I can feel the bitterness.
Yeah, man, this is just straight bitter, just straight out of my blood. So yeah, they used to have daily podcasts, but now they just have specified ones. So they'll talk about movies and TV this day. They'll review a movie this day. They'll have the one that they have they'll do skits and stuff for, and then they'll do other things. They'll just have their normal podcast. But yeah, I mostly watch podcast stuff just because I hate having to find a new video.
Mm.
So like, the only like short form videos I really watch now are like Donkey, or they're like K-pop music videos.
That's true.
Like I won't watch like if I see a 20-minute video, I'm just like, this is not long enough. Because,
Yeah.
like, I feel like I should, especially with video essays, like, those are usually around 15, 20 minutes. So, like, I feel like I should be watching the whole time. But, like, I don't want to do that.
Because I was gonna ask, do you pay undivided attention watching these things, or are you usually doing something else while you have them playing?
So sometimes I'll, like, be doing other things while I'm playing. So sometimes I'll have them, like, on my TV, like, a podcast, especially if it's, like, a visual podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll be, like, doing other things, or, like, I'll be cooking or playing video games, or like just even scrolling through social media, like,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
because that's one of the, like, I think the reason I got into podcasts so much is because of the, I'll call it the poison of YouTube Red or YouTube Premium now, because like you can watch stuff without having to be on the video.
Yeah,
You can watch
yeah.
stuff in the background. You
I
can just
still have yet
listen,
to have that feature,
bro. It's life changing.
but I do have it's commonplace for most people, but some people didn't have the feature where you can minimize the video and go to another like app or something like that. And I remember when my phone started doing that, I was just shocked. I thought something was wrong. I was like, it's glitching. I gotta get this fixed. And then I realized I could do it for most videos. You can't do it for music, but doing that was just like,
They actually have YouTube Music,
mm-hmm.
which is dumb because, like, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I don't know anyone that uses YouTube Music, um, but like I realize that I have 4 music services. So I have YouTube Music because I have YouTube Red. No, 5. I have. I think I also have Google Play Music because I think everyone does though. So one might not count. I have Apple Music, which I actually use, and I have Prime Music because it comes with Prime.
Oh, okay.
So like I have all these things, and I'm like, maybe I should not have this many, but I don't want to use a different thing other than because, like, I have a Mac as my main laptop, and I have an iPhone, so I want to be using Apple Music because that's all connected.
It makes sense because it's on the same platform.
Yeah, and it has like saved. It has every song that I've ever had since like back in the LimeWire days. So like, or FrostWire or whatever it was called. Or maybe that was a different one. BearShare. You remember BearShare?
I do actually.
But yeah, so I don't. That's completely a tangent. But yes, if I can't recommend YouTube Red enough or Premium, damn it, YouTube Premium enough, just because you can just close your phone and put it in your pocket and it's still playing, and it's the best thing. So YouTube Red damn it, YouTube Premium and AirPods have really like made me just want to be listening to podcasts all the time.
Yeah.
But if I have to watch it, then that makes it difficult.
Yeah.
So long form like video essays are kind of hard because like unless I know the subject material really well. So if it's like Scrubs or something or Halo, and I can just listen. But if it's like there's this channel called Wisecrack, which I watch a lot of their stuff. But like some of it is just kind of like them like kind of turning their nose at people in a way. I'm not. I don't want to say that, but it does come off a little
nihilism.
elitist sometimes though, huh?
Or mention nihilism.
Yeah, and they talk about nihilism too much, and that just isn't groovy for me. But they do have like a lot of essays. Like they have a series now that's pretty good. It's called Deep or Dumb. So it's like, is this show that's supposed to be deep? Is it deep or is it just dumb? And so sometimes like I'll watch those, or like when they have their little like Rick and Morty like podcast, like after the show comes out, like during the week. I'll like watch that just to see like what they talk about and like philosophy and stuff. But video essays other than those, because those are still kind of just podcasts. They're not like, there's no script. And I like the idea of scripted content. It's just like sometimes it's a little too draining for me.
I think I'm glad you brought that up because I've been wanting to touch on something, and especially when you bring up scripted content, was when all those people from Vine moved onto YouTube.
Oh yeah.
And then that was you. I don't know about you, but for me, I was able to notice a definitive shift in a lot of the things YouTube did once all those people from Vine moved on to YouTube.
How do you mean?
There was a lot of so scripted content is nothing new for YouTube. Like
Mm-hmm.
whenever people did their own skits or everything, obviously they were following something to, get their project across. When the Vine, or how Ethan from H3 like to call it, the Vine invasion of YouTube happened, you notice a lot of these skits happening, but the production value was so high and the scripts were like so just followed to the letter.
Mm.
And for me anyways, it made me feel like this was like a lot of a cash grab from a lot of like maybe companies that backed these Vine now YouTubers into some of their stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and it made it sometimes not very fun to watch their stuff just
Mm-hmm.
because it looked like something that could have a higher YouTube quality but not good enough to be on TV,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it wasn't funny or it wasn't entertaining. It was just
Mm.
them just making one-liners that just didn't stick the landing.
Yeah. I'm not good at like watching Vines or TikToks.
Mm.
Like,
I don't blame you at all.
I think it is because like I want I like whatever basically whatever like someone creates a piece of content. I want it to be like they're creating like a little world, even if it's just like a
No,
podcast
I understand
or
what you mean.
anything.
I think that's one of the reasons why you and I like binging with Babish so much.
Yeah,
It's like whenever he does a project, he focuses everything on that project.
yeah, and it's like an exact vibe.
Yes.
But if his videos were like tasty videos where they're like 30 seconds long,
Mm.
like I wouldn't watch them.
Yeah.
But because they are like 8, 10 minutes, whatever, depending on the topic, when they're that long, it's like, okay, I can sit here, I can chill
Yeah.
for a while, I
It's
can
like it's
relax.
almost immersion to a point.
Yeah, and you can really like you can just let your guard down and watch. It's like, oh, that was interesting, and it's not like too long to where you get bored most of the time. And it really it really does provide that passive, not passive, but like that vicarious living, living through someone else's
Yeah,
lives
I
and
understand
ideas.
completely what you mean by that.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's kind of what vlogs used to do,
Yes.
but I feel like vlogs now are way too long.
They can either be too long or they're just not very interesting.
Yeah.
And I know that may sound like a bit of an oxymoron because sometimes, like, oh, you're just vlogging your day.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember when vlogs started coming out, like, I got really into them. It felt like almost like a slice of life anime. It was very much. It's like, you're just living in the moment with these people. It's very like you said, vicariously through them, but you can also relate to them. You see, oh, they have a lawn just like I do. They go to the grocery store just like I do.
Yeah, and it was like so the prime example for anybody is Casey Neistat.
Yes.
And like I remember I got super into his channel, and like it was the same thing with like Funhouse. Where as soon as I found him, I just watched every vlog that he made because I was like, wow, this is so cool, and it like really.
And he was king of YouTube for a while.
Yeah, and it really made it. It really made like filmmaking more of a like more doable in my mind. It like made it seem more possible. Like just whatever you got, just go out and do it, and just like put a good effort into it, and and you can like make a lot of good stuff out of it. And so like especially that his vlogs were daily. Like yeah, he lived in New York, and he like rode around and skateboard a lot. So like there was always like interesting stuff that he would like encounter, but just by virtue of him like wanting to make something and making something good out of whatever he was able to record that day. I think that was like super inspiring. And then he like got involved with all that like his business or whatever that like failed or something, and he stopped making vlogs, and I'm just like, well,
which I think it's a little inevitable for a lot of YouTubers. Like maybe they can sustain themselves from their channels for a good amount of time, but sometimes some of them want to have like a bigger itch or something to do.
Yeah.
And that's where the business aspect kind of comes in. They want to expand, they want to do something else, they want to try a different venture. And some of them succeed and some of them not so much.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I guess it's selfish to not to want them to like stick to what I like.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't think it's necessarily wrong for me to.
Yeah, because especially with YouTube. Granted, even though some of them can have millions of followers,
Mm-hmm.
it's still kind of intimate. Like you were the one who went out of the way to find this video.
Yeah.
You are directly their audience.
Yeah, and yeah, like because whenever you do follow a channel, like whatever they're making is what what you're trained to expect. So if they change it, like they shouldn't just be like, oh well, we love you unconditionally, so whatever you make, we're fine with it. Like it should be like, well, I've set you up with these expectations, so if I change them and you hate it, like okay, like that's my fault, really. Like I wouldn't blame like an audience for turning on someone if they completely change what they're doing. Now you don't want them to like stick around and just like dislike every video and like comment that they hate it, but like
Right.
with me, like whenever Casey Neistat, like whenever he stopped doing daily vlogs, I stopped watching. And like whatever he did after, I don't know if he still posts anything, but whatever he did after, I like I didn't hate on him, but I also
That vested interest was no longer like burning within you.
Yeah. And like sometimes I you know you end up having the channel do the same thing and you just get tired of it, like with JK News, with Funhouse. Like I just kind of stopped watching for a long time, which Funhouse I watch more now, but which is funny, I watch more now that like Bruce and Lawrence left, because I feel like, oh no, I have to stay on so these guys don't leave.
Yeah.
So these new guys don't leave.
Cow Chop 2.0.
Yeah, no, Cow Chop was an interesting case, because whenever they were like, whenever James left, and so they were gonna like end, and they're like, well, at the end of the year we're done. That like I got way more invested into it, just because like it was a limited thing. Like I knew that it wouldn't last forever.
I even bought the last shipment of merch that they had.
Yeah.
And I rarely do that.
Yeah, and merch is an interesting thing, because you don't.
Shout out Logan Paul.
Yeah, buy that merch. But no, we hate Logan Paul. We don't hate him, but we don't respect him as, I don't know. Jake Paul, he's the dumb one, right? He's the dumb one.
I'm not going
Confirmed.
to
This is like
affirm or deny
the
that.
official casual boys position.
If he ever reaches out to it, I was no part of this.
You'd never reach out to us.
No, he'd probably give us merch. It's like, oh, you guys mentioned our name.
Merch. And then we're just like the casual Jake Paul boys.
Yeah.
And just, hey, welcome back to the casual Jake Paul boys channel. Just go ahead and ignore my brother making fun of that dead person in Japan. Yeah. I like how people still bring that up. Like I was watching a podcast about anime, and it's called the Trash Taste Podcast. I think I talked about it last week. And they were talking about how like they went somewhere and like they were like trying to be as respectful as possible, and they like referenced the Jake Paul video. They're like, oh, I wasn't like Jake Paul or Logan Paul, whoever it was. Yeah. One of those Paul boys.
Logan,
yeah. They're like, oh, I wasn't like Logan Paul out here. And I was just like, wow, I can't believe you're still talking about that.
And I think it shows, like, even though some people in entertainment still kind of consider YouTube as like maybe a little bit inferior platform, YouTube has very strong roots.
Inferior to?
Like maybe they're working in TV or movies or other media. And I remember for a while it used to be like that. And then popularity in YouTube just exploded. And a lot of agents went to certain YouTubers to say, hey, can I tack on with you if you ever want to do this with this collaboration with this company, whatever. And now I think YouTube is a little bit more respected, but still kind of looked down upon. It's like, okay, you have a YouTube channel. That's nice. But we're working on a set, or we're working with a production company. Whatever. Yeah. Even though you know that YouTube does have very lasting impacts, such as, good or bad, with Logan Paul. Like, that's something he's never going to live down, unfortunately. Yeah. It will forever be known as the guy who made fun of that.
Yeah. And the apology boy and all this stuff. But it is interesting that all these, like, I don't know, I feel like I feel like television and movies, they get a lot of like crap sometimes, like if they're not good.
Yeah.
But
Game of Thrones season 10. Season 8, not season 10.
Season 8.
I wanted season 10. I only got up to season 8.
Yeah.
I will
No,
never let
the
that
way
go.
they were going, I did not want season 8. I mean, season 10.
I mean, I'm sure you didn't want season 8 either.
No, yeah, I wanted just a long season 7 or whatever they were supposed to do. But yeah, I think that, I don't know, I almost think that people are too easy on YouTube. Because with YouTube, like...
I think that's a fair assessment.
With YouTube, like, if somebody posts a video, like, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
Like, if it's bad, it's bad. Mm-hmm. Unless they're, like, someone that posts, like, a video, like, once a month, and it's bad, then, like, people are probably going to be like, this wasn't the best video. Yeah. But, like, especially Good Mythical Morning types, where they post, like, every day, like, for, 10 years or whatever they've been doing, if they post a bad video, people are just going to be like, well, that was 5 minutes, that's fine. It was only 5 minutes that I wasted today. But if somebody makes a movie, it's almost like you can't respond to, you can't always respond to a movie being bad by not watching it.
Right.
Because, like, there are, like, as much as I love Fast and the Furious, as much as I love The Rock, like, the movies that, those movies are not, they're not like critical hits. They're fun to watch.
Yeah. They're financial hits.
I'm gonna watch all of them.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, but like
20 years from now, it's still one last ride.
Yeah, and it's like the almost like the ultimate version of like, these giant YouTube creators where The Rock, if The Rock like makes a movie, I'll want to watch it because he's in there.
Right.
But like, it's not gonna really matter to me whether or not it's a great movie. Mm-hmm. Now, if I go to, like, if I see a movie coming out with Daniel Day-Lewis or something, and it's like stupid,
right? Like, you're gonna feel like vastly more disappointed.
Yeah, like even if he's great in it, if the movie itself is just like dumb and doesn't make any sense or whatever, like.
Which is just like, I hate to bring it up again, but it's season 8 of Game of Thrones. Everybody did their part.
Yeah.
But it was still really bad.
And I want to, like, even with that, like, so many people watched and so many people stayed watching the whole time. So many people still talk about it. And, like, that was bad.
Yeah.
But, like, they're just, like, still talking about it. They're still making it money, even if they're hating it. Like, even if unless you, like, pirated it and just, like, watch it, like, over and over again, like, somehow money is still getting to those people.
Yes.
And so, like, yeah, you want the, like, what they call, like, the below the line crew, all like the crew and like all those people, you want them to get paid, and you want like the actors to get paid and stuff. But like the writing and all that, like if the writing's not good, then it should be reflected in what those people get paid. Yeah. And we don't do that because like if you criticize, like I know people criticize, this is kind of a random example, but the movie Scott Pilgrim versus the World, I thought was an amazing movie. But then you go to the reviews and it's like, it's great. It's had all these like, very colorful and all this fun action but the writing was okay. And like all the reviews are like that. They're like, the writing could be better, stuff like that. And that annoys me to no end because like this movie and the movie and the writing went so well. Like I don't know if you wanted like the King's speech to be more colorful or what. Yeah. But like I don't know what they want.
Yeah, it's a different beast.
Yeah, so it's like, that's why I said like, we're too easy on YouTube because movies, like even when they're good, we hate them.
Yeah.
Like even like if they're bad, sometimes we love them.
Yeah.
Right? But if they're good and there's something about them that we don't like, it's like we're almost looking for their flaw, just so like the people don't get like a big head or something.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because it reminds me of when YouTube Red was really pushing for it, and they said all these YouTubers were going to get their own shows, they're going to get their own series,
and they were all bad.
I would say a good 95% of them did not land or whatever.
Yeah,
and maybe 5% were like, okay, this is decent enough. Or this is,
I really like the Vsauce, his show. something.
I didn't know he had one.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
good.
Yeah.
It was good, and he had this one experiment where he did that like, you go into a room and you're just locked in the room for like however many for as long as possible basically, and he was in there for like days, and like by the end of it like his wife and his son were there and he just like hugged them because he was just like so broken as
Oh
a person.
no.
I think he had to be in there
Wow.
for like a week or something, like something
Wow.
crazy.
Wow.
But yeah, that was
That was not a pro gamer move.
yeah, no, but it was good
Yeah.
content though.
Wow. See, that sounds really interesting.
But if they, yeah, I don't know. If that was like on TV though, nobody would care.
Yeah, and then that's a good point. Like YouTube offers these side, not I don't want to say side because it makes it sound like it's not as important, but
Mhm.
stuff that you wouldn't find on television.
Mhm.
It's a completely different thing, but just as much valid entertainment in my opinion.
Yeah, and there isn't like I know ratings do factor into like decisions like decisions that higher ups make and like merch and stuff, but like
Mm-hmm.
YouTube that is like so direct in like you know how many people are watching,
Right.
you know how long they're watching, like and
Like you really feel like if you're buying the merch from this channel, it's benefiting this channel.
yeah, so whether or not they like it and what exactly they're saying because like there is no disconnect. Which with which TV, which with TV, man, I'm just like not speaking well today. With TV, there is that disconnect, and there isn't. Oh, like, this many people like it, but they're only watching for 6 minutes.
Yes, yeah.
Like they're
Those
like,
Nielsen ratings.
yeah, the Nielsen ratings. They're like, well, this house is watching it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's
But it
like,
could be just background noise if someone's
yeah,
like you said, making dinner, or they're just like doing something else.
yeah. So like, it could have been on, and they fell asleep watching the TV or whatever. Which I guess YouTube, if you have
Yeah,
autoplay on, it does the
yeah.
same, but that's not, you know, I feel like people aren't making as many decisions with YouTube numbers as like Nielsen are.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if you have a bad run in a YouTube video, you just kind of switch up what you're doing.
Right.
If you have a bad run on a show, you get canceled.
Yeah, yeah. It's very, very unforgiving.
Yeah. So, and then another thing is that like, Casey Neistat, a million views a video, automatic. He
Mm-hmm.
gets it every time. You know that. But then you have like, I can't think of anybody else, but you may have another vlogger that has like the same kind of however many millions of subs he has that'll get like 300K,
Right, right.
and like
It's not reflective of his subscriber base.
yeah. So like Casey Neistat, he's getting that million, like that million worth of money, but the 300K guy's getting that 300K. But on TV, like if you have like if you're this kind of show, you get this kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's it. Like we're not gonna unless you like make crazy on merch sales or something. If we even license it out, like you're getting the money you have. That's it. So I don't know. In some ways I want TV to learn from YouTube, but I don't want it to just be YouTube.
Yeah. Like, those are two entities that need to stay away from that.
Yeah, I don't want that many options. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. There's such a thing as oversaturation. If everything is the same, then really, what's the difference of just watching a YouTube video versus watching something on TV? It takes a little bit of the specialness away from that. So I totally feel you.
I'm gonna throw a curveball question that wasn't on the list.
Okay.
I want you to say 5 YouTubers and they don't have to be like your 5 favorite or whatever. Just 5 YouTubers you think people should be watching.
Okay. I think people should be watching My Chani. My Chani, do you know My Chani?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's OG.
Yeah, he's an OG. He's still making his stuff. Most of his with his girlfriend is usually like food stuff or travel stuff. Now with the quarantine, they mainly are doing like cooking at home. But it's nice to see him grow and to see him at a different stage in life. But it's still like nice to watch. He's still doing his stuff, and it's funny. He's genuinely funny just because he's a bit goofy and he doesn't know how to do stuff seriously, but it's never super annoying.
Yeah.
And his laugh, he has one of those laughs that's just infectious because he'll laugh at something really random and he'll laugh for like 15 seconds, but his tone, it just like raises and Um, I think somebody else that people should be watching. I feel almost weird mentioning him, but he's been around for a while too. It's Critical or
Oh,
Penguins.
Critical.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The reason I feel weird is because now he's really exploded on YouTube.
He doesn't need help.
Yeah, but he's also like in the underground of YouTube. He's vastly popular, but he's not ad friendly.
Oh, okay.
And he makes that very well known because like sometimes he'll just he recently bought Gwyneth Paltrow's recent candle that smells like a certain thing. And he just lit it on camera. I was like, and it's just kind of like he gives a review like, this is what it smells like.
That's a good thing to review, though.
Yeah, and he's been around since he's the same age as us.
Yeah.
So he's been making videos since he was in high school.
I remember, was he one of like the Slender Man guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
He got really popular with Slender Man and Q-Bop.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he may not be super underground, but he's still somebody I think he's a big part of the lifeblood of YouTube that people should check out. Definitely, and again, I feel weird mentioning them because they do have a fan base, but the Watcher.
Watcher, yeah.
I'm really glad that these guys from BuzzFeed decided to do their own project, and they still have a very dedicated fan base. They have great viewings. I think they could be really high up there because I see the work that they put into their stuff, especially Shane and Ryan and Steven whenever they have their stuff, and they're doing projects outside of what they're known for, outside of the BuzzFeed Unsolved, the ghost hunting, the food reviews. They still have that present in the Watcher, but they're also trying to do new things as well.
One thing I noticed is that I feel like, I don't know if it was because of like BuzzFeed's rules or whatever, but I feel, or maybe because they weren't running their own company, but I feel like they're a lot more like unkempt now. like it just seems like Ryan and Shane are just like kind of tired a lot.
Yeah.
Like not that they're low energy, but
Yeah.
even when they're like normal energy, it seems like they're still kind of tired.
Yeah.
And so
It
like,
doesn't seem like they're like putting on a face though.
Yeah. So before it makes me think that just before they were really like making a character like this is BuzzFeed Unsolved Ryan versus default Ryan. But yeah, that's a good channel.
Yeah.
Who else?
Off Canny. I know I mentioned him earlier, but
yeah.
I like the stuff Off Canny's doing. It feels like the Adult Swim of YouTube and a lot of their videos, stuff that you really don't want to be watching.
Yeah, with other people around.
But it's really really funny, and it's great to just feel like you're supporting these people who are doing their own stuff because again they're all really young, like either our age or maybe a little bit younger. And so I'm just glad that they're taking that step to just do some of these things, even though it's a little bit weird. Okay, it's very weird sometimes. So I'm just gonna straight up say it.
Yeah. And
the last one I think I would probably recommend is, oh wow, you know what? I keep going back to him, but just again, Ryan Higa, like he has such a special place in my heart. Like watching his stuff and his behind the scene videos, it's partly what inspired me to get into multimedia production, knowing what to do with cameras, how to film, how to shoot stuff, how to even be present on screen, and that is a huge hurdle to go for. Like being on camera is not easy, and seeing his creative process and just how he's evolved through all the years. He may not be the number one YouTuber anymore, even though he used to be for years. And then Ray William Johnson came in. Do you remember him?
Oh, yeah.
And then Ryan Higa got that spot back. And now he may not be number one anymore, but he's still, if not the YouTuber, just one of the founding fathers of YouTube. And he's still putting out his stuff. He's on a bit of a break right now because of quarantine, and some of the people working with him wanted.
I heard there was an issues there. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's still doing his stuff, and it just feels special to me to have support for somebody who's done something for so long, and he's brought me so much joy and happiness. And I just feel like people, if you don't know Ryan Higa, check out his stuff. Like there will be one video at least that he will laugh at.
For me, I think I don't know. I'll go kind of quick.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I took up too much time.
No. I didn't. This was completely a curveball. But There's this guy. His name is Michael Fisher.
Mm.
I think his channel is called Mr. Mobile. He does like a lot of reviews on like phones and stuff, phones and laptops and technology in general. He's one. He has a really cool voice, and two, he's just really great at reviewing stuff. So I think just even if you have zero interest, I like 90% of the time I have zero interest in the stuff that he's talking about, but like the way he talks about it makes me interested.
Yeah.
So him, and much in that same vein, there's a guy named Dave Lee, who he's also a tech YouTuber, but he like kind of specializes on like laptops. Dave Lee, also known as Dave 2D, he's super cool. David So, just a complete departure,
Of course.
but I love David So. He's really funny, and he's like definitely one of the OG, not OG, but like he came around with like JK Films, and he was always kind of tangential to them. But yeah, the stuff that he does on his own, like his podcast, is really good, and he's very much that same way, because a lot of the times I don't like his stuff is one of those where I don't usually care what he's talking about, but like the way he talks about it makes me care. I'll also recommend Kind of Funny, because they're...
You got me into that. I will genuinely say, like, he got me into Kind of Funny. I watched their whole reviews.
Yeah,
on the podcast now.
I think their in-review series is the easiest thing to get into, because with them, unless you like games a lot, like gaming news, or you like, I don't even know another category, but I feel like there's very few people, unless, or if you're like a Rooster Teeth fan already, I feel like there's very few people that can just jump in and like start watching. Like for me, I was a Rooster Teeth fan, so like I kind of gave them a shot. But you know, once you get to know the guys, like all their content makes sense. But if you don't know them, then they're just kind of like guys that do podcasts twice a day, basically.
And they have all these inside jokes, and you're like, you're just trying to find, where you can pick up on that.
Yeah, so in-review series is really good, and that one, especially if you know the movies, then you can just like kind of learn about them as they go. And the last one, I'll probably, the last one I'll say, I guess I didn't have a fifth one prepared, but I'll go ahead and say follow the Casual Boys.
Oh, okay.
I think they're a new up-and-coming, very small channel. They do podcasts once a week. And sometimes they post random stuff about K-pop, but that's cool. You don't have to watch that if you don't want to. But, you can...
he's got some pretty good stuff, One of these guys has a pretty cool voice. I like him.
Yeah, well, he's super deep. And it's like listening to, like... It's like the abyss is reaching back up at you. Yeah, I'd say that discussion was pretty casual. What do you think, Brandon?
Yep, pretty casual.
Please follow us on Instagram at Casual Boys Podcast. Subscribe to the Casual Boys on YouTube, or listen to us on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Join us next time for more casual conversation with
Casual Boys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey,
that was